Welcome to MCN and our latest video showing you the bikes that we've paid for with our own money. Now, the nature of our job means that we spend most of our time on test bikes that are provided by manufacturers, dealers and whoever else. So most of our mileage is covered on those and we don't necessarily need a bike for day-to-day practicalities. But this is the exception, and it might be a little bit of a surprise if you followed Michael Neese, our chief superstar road tester. His career for the last 23 years, a lot of time spent on sports bikes, racing, and that's kind of, not your persona, but that's what you're into and what you've specialised into a certain degree. And here we are standing in front of a step-through, scooter, moped.
Which I'm sure everyone would agree that it's probably the best bike to ever feature on the MCN channel, by far.
So give us a little bit of insight, because this isn't even your first one either, is it? You're a serial scooter owner.
I'm a serious. Well, I've always loved scooters. They just remind me of being on holiday and the freedom you get when you're just scooting around, say Ibiza or something like that in your shorts and t-shirts. It just makes me smile. And I guess there's sort of like a time machine for me. When I ride this, it takes me back to those times. And I've always loved the look of these. You know, when you're in France or Spain and Italy, you see people zipping around on TMaxes and big maxi scooters. You know, the baddies in films have them, you know. And I got to ride one for the first time in 2017. We did a maxi scooter group test with an XADV and the BMW C650 and a TMax, and we rode them to Paris. It was absolutely brilliant. I was absolutely smitten, to the point that at the end of that year, I bought that particular test bike off of Yamaha.
Right.
And then ran it for 3 years and absolutely loved it. And I kind of used it really, the best way to think of it, I use it instead of my car. And just when I'm zipping around. I sold it in 2020 during COVID with the intention of getting another one. Life got in the way and I didn't have another one again, but I just kept dreaming of them, kept looking at them. And this year, maybe a couple of months ago, I bought this.
Dreaming of a T-Max, there's some words in there.
I know, I mean, you know, it's 2025 now at the beginning. And last year, you know, we read Panigales and stuff like that, and I just love it. But I think it's because it's so different to what I do day to day. I probably wouldn't think the same if I was a leisure rider like most people are.
I think that's often the case when we buy our bikes, because there's no real need. I mean, you had a Super Duke last year, so why would you buy an S1000R? It's the same thing, so it's nice to have that change. And now, talking about using it as a two-wheeled car, you kind of have a little bit of history with nice cars as well, so it's strange to see you using a scooter. I mean, I remember when you started, you had an E46 M3 and a Golf GTI, and you've had other things like that in the past. Cars. So how have those fallen away?
Well, over the last couple of years, I've been lucky enough to run long-termers through the winter, and I haven't used my car. I had a Ninja, what did I have? H2SX, that's it. One of those, and a Triumph Tiger, and I got used to not using my car, but I didn't want my car to rot on the drive, so I kept it in my garage, so I used all the space up in my garage. I couldn't get in and out of the garage properly, and I thought, well, this winter, shall I dig the car out and use it again? I thought, no, I'm going to get another bike. So I sold the car and put the money for that towards this. And really, over the last couple of years, my car was sawned anyway, and I only used to use it if I used to drive to racetracks or whatever, and I don't do so much of that anymore. So I thought, well, I'll get this instead, and I haven't looked back. I haven't missed my car once, and I think if I ever need to use a car to, carry anything big, then I'll hire one or borrow one. But yeah.
And we were just looking through some of the gadgets on this before we started the video, and I can kind of see why you don't need a car. So, but why a T-Max specifically, not a BMW or an XADV, something like that?
Well, I think all scooters are good because they're all utilitarian, aren't they? They all do a job. They're not really designed for fun, although this is fun. This does 115 mile an hour. It's got an aluminium chassis. It handles pretty well. You can embarrass proper bikes. But what was the question?
Why a T-Max?
Why a T-Max? It's just for, there's no particular reason. It doesn't do anything better than any other scooter, really. It's got luggage space, you can, zip to the shops. It's just a lovely thing. I just love the look of it. I love the attitude of it. And also, riding it through winter, it's got all the bells and whistles on it to keep you warm. So, with this scooter blanket that I bought, you get yourself in here, you've got a heated seat, and this is like stepping into a warm bath. You've got heated grips, and with these muffs you can wear summer gloves, so you get all the advantage of the heated grips and none of the wind. Cruise control, it's got all the bells and whistles that just make your life, it's a luxury bike. I'm very lucky to own this. I don't need it, but it's just amazing to ride.
I'm laughing because I remember there was a time when you get excited by titanium exhausts and quick shifters, and now it's blankets and muffs.
Yeah, I think I've eaten too much birthday cake in my life, and I just need some meat and potatoes.
Bit of comfort.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously you've been here for 23 years, and sort of your life and kind of what you're interested in has changed quite a bit. Kind of imagine day one MCN Michael Neves. What do you think he would think of you on the scooter now?
An absolute loser. I just couldn't, when I started MCN, I was just sports bike mad. I just used to wear leathers. Sports bikes were all that mattered to me, and I'd look at this and probably look down my nose at it, which a lot of people do still. But what has surprised me is, I've had this bike on my social media a few times, and there's a lot more closet scooter fans out there than you'd think. People have said to me that they've got an ADV 350 or whatever, and they use that bike more than their actual motorbike. So
yeah.
But I mean, talking of that bike, I would say that those Honda 350s are probably the best scooters. They're almost as fast as these. They're much more economical. This probably does about 140 to 170 miles to the tank, whereas those ADVs or 350s would do well over 200. They're probably, if you're going to really get an affordable, practical scooter, they're the ones to go for. But, this is just luxury, really.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've not had this one too long, and your long-term didn't go back until fairly recently. So you've not done that many miles. But what do you typically use this and the previous one for?
Just everything. I mean, this is sad as well. One of my best journeys on this was just after I got it, because the novelty was there again after having the old one. And I thought, well, I need to go shopping. So I wrote a little on it. I had my tunes in my crash helmet playing Led Zeppelin. I just got on this, it's just so easy. I got all my shopping in that big old top box that I bought, and it was just heaven. So I just use it for work. It's January now. Over Christmas, I went up and down the motorway from Stamford to Ramsgate to see my girlfriend a few times, and just pottering around, really. I wouldn't really use it as a leisure bike, but I do plan to do a couple of trips on it, like weekends away with my girlfriend or whatever, because it's really it's as comfortable on the back as it is on the front.
Because that's the thing I wondered, obviously living in a market town in Lincolnshire, you're not really, and coming to the outskirts of Peterborough, you're not doing the sort of big commute into the city like these are kind of designed for, really. I mean, you talk about that trip to Paris, that's kind of prime big scooter territory. You see all the kind of lawyers and other sort of big money owners scooting in their suits. How is it out of that urban situation? Is it fine?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can go through, I've ridden on some of the road test roads that we ride all the time, and you can have a lot of fun on it. It's got a touring mode and a sports mode. The sports modes give you a bit of sharper throttle response. This latest evolution of TMax, so this is the current one as it stands, but a new one's about to come out, which I'm a little bit sad about. But this evolution has got slightly sharper handling. You've got decent grip on the tyres, you've got upside down forks, radial brakes. It's got 47 bhp. Which isn't a lot on paper, but it does well over 100, like I say. I might even do a Cadwell track day on it. Because there was a PB back in the day, wasn't there, where they all took maxi scooters around. There
was, yes. They called it World Scooter Bikes, I think. Yeah.
And they had stickers on the fairing when they'd overtake a motorbike, I think,
I think we need to pen that into the video plan for the channel this year. Yeah. Now, one thing I know about you is that you're absolutely fastidious about all your vehicles, but this is effectively your winter hack. So how do you've sort of paid a decent amount, it was £9,000, I think you said?
9,000,
so
yeah.
A fair chunk of change, and now you're riding it through, especially today, it's -2 and the gritters have been out in force. How is it to keep it clean and keep the corrosion at bay as well? So I was looking at it, it's got big mud guards as well. So does it look after itself to a degree?
It does a bit. I mean, it pains me to ride it in the winter, to the point where I was almost thinking about getting another scooter so I could ride it in the winter, but that's just stupid, because I did buy it as a day-to-day hack. And the person who had it before me, I think it's actually had 2 owners, really looked after it. I only had 1,700 miles when I got it, and it was immaculate. So, it's only going to go downhill from now. But someone's put some bigger front mud guards on it, which 2002 me would have just kicked off straight away, but they keep everything nice and clean. I've ACF 50'd it 3 times now. I know you shouldn't do it every time, but I just can't help myself. And Yamahas do go a little bit furry around some of the bolts, but generally it's not too bad, because it's got an aluminium chassis. A lot of cheaper scooters, maxi scooters, have got steel chassis. and because you can't clean them properly because they've got so much bodywork in the way, they rot away. And my old TMax went through 2 winters, and to be honest, apart from the odd third bolt, it always came up really clean. It's an expensive bike. What are these, 14 odd grand now? And you do get what you pay for. It is really good quality.
Yeah. And obviously you talked about the new one being there where you're a little bit jealous of, and your irrational desire for another bike to keep this clean. Do you see yourself owning this for quite a long time, or do you think you'll trade up in a couple of years, or is there something completely different that might take your fancy, do you think?
I think I'll keep this for as long as... I probably wouldn't want to do mega miles on it. I'd probably want to sell it. I've only done about 1,000 miles on this one. When it gets to 10 to 12,000 miles, I think I'll just get another one to keep it fresh. But I think I'll have one of these forever. I like the idea of me riding around as a 70-year-old, which isn't that long away, on a TMax with a piss pot crash helmet, with my shorts and t-shirt around Stanford, which I know you shouldn't do, but I enjoy it. It's a keeper. A TMax is always going to be in my life, I think. There were some times that I thought, I wish Yamaha would do an electric version, because that would be cool. But I don't think it would ever have the range, and it would weigh a ton. So, yeah, as long as Yamaha keep making them, I think I'll always keep buying them.
Well, thank you for talking us through your TMax. It's been enlightening and a bit of an insight into your mindset. So, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like and comment below. Tell us what you think of Neve's and his choices, and we'll see you again next time.